Thank you very much, and President and Professor Cook-Wang-Song. And I would like, first of all, to pay my deep gratitude to the Ministry of National Defense of the Republic of Korea, and also I would like to pay my gratitude to the organizers and the staffs and all participants, and to let me have this wonderful chance of learning as well as expressing. And today I would like to talk about, focus on China in the background of the global non-proliferation. And my title of the presentation is Non-Proliferation in China, with subtitle Dynamic Complexity and Hard Balancing and Broader Implication. And first of all, I would like to talk in very general terms. The ongoing global challenges in the security category are mainly nuclear proliferation, transnational terrorism, and severe man-made humanitarian disasters, including genocide and ethnic cleansing. And one has to be aware that to compare with the economic challenge, now primarily consists of global financial crisis and recession, is far from certain in the same degree that proliferation, terrorism, and humanitarian disasters in the past year are generally indeed so wide in coverage, as well as so high in intensity, that they in general can be undoubtedly regarded as real global security challenges. In other words, about this, there are potential and active, widespread controversies, lacking undoubtedly reasonable global consensus as to the understanding of their cause and even to the estimation of their likely consequence. The situation are even more so. Next, I will turn to my beloved country, China. China, mainly in the extremely difficult nuclear problem of North Korea, but also substantially in that of Iran, has made important contributions to the cause of international non-proliferation. Her protracted, arduous, and partial effective efforts in the past years aimed at peaceful denuclearization of North Korea are quite distinct, constituting a major part in the considerable increase of her security role and political influence in the international society. It's China's relationship with the United States, as well as her reputation of responsibleness in the international security field, that are benefited most by this endeavor. However, since US-DPRK bilateral talks, based mainly, in my point of view, on American concessions, began in January 2007 until the beginning of this year, when Kim Jong-un regime launched its extraordinary provocation against peace and security and non-proliferation cause in Northeast Asia. It was in general the particularistic dispositions on the part of all main concerned parties that have relatively much strengthened in comparison with the so-called universalist cause of denuclearization of North Korea. Beijing seemed increasingly determined to avoid serious alienation from Pyongyang for the sake of denuclearization, endured very patiently North Korea's arrogance and other unfriendly attitude toward China, while conducting bilateral trade and direct investment in increasing volume. The ironic conclusion should be that American leadership in the past in the direction of appeasement, so-called stimulate or even force China to take some unilateral action ordered by Washington. And in far from unconscious conducted diplomatic competition to win Pyongyang's favor, as it were, leaving firepower joint action and even perhaps denuclearization itself as a victim in some degree. But since January this year, China's Northeast policy has undergone substantial change, or even substantial transformation, with its background, including striving for a China-U.S. so-called new type of great power relationship by China's new leadership, headed by President Xi Jinping. This, combining with a development that before North Korea's #1 political general, Vice Marshal Choi Dong-hai, was sent to Beijing in May to improve relations. Kim Jong-il regime almost suddenly took a very, the Kim Jong-un regime, took a very unfriendly attitude toward China, and a post of extremely threatening peace in the peninsula and Northeast Asia, led China substantially, having changed her so-called traditional policy toward the DPRK, and featured mainly by appeasement in the past decade. China, since January this year, has launched a series of well-known extraordinary actions to punish or sanction against North Korea, which China never took in the past. Moreover, these actions have helped a lot China's relations with the United States as well as with the Republic of Korea. However, like what always in the past, China's North Korea policy has always been conditioned at large by North Korea behavior. Since last May, there has been important change. It is that in North Korea's fundamental tactics, suspending its severe threat against peace, turning into a sort of diplomacy of bilateral talks, especially talks with China, while still insisting adamantly in developing its nuclear warheads and longer-range missiles. This tactical transformation to remarkably improve its attitude toward China and suspend its grave threat against peace has been sufficient to make China change once again her North Korean policy in an opposite direction. Though Pyongyang still insisted in nuclear and long-range missile development. In this circumstance, China's Vice President, Mr. Li Yuanchao, visited Pyongyang and seemingly reluctantly accepted Kim Jong-un's hug, providing a most symbolic evidence in this respect. However, I had to emphasize, China is not likely to return to the so-called old track of her North Korean policy, but probably while maintaining a large part of her newly enacted tough measures against North Korea. And this is not only due to North Korea's adamance in developing nuclear weapons, but also due to Beijing's consideration for striving or maintaining a much more positive U.S., China, and ROK-China relationship. Now I would like to turn to Iran. As to Iran nuclear program, China has, on one hand, always promoted the nuclearization of that country in the multiple structures, that including U.S. Security Council, Six Nations, meetings on Iran, and International Atomic Energy Agency, as well as in the bilateral diplomacy with all main concerned parties. And on the other, always preserve and even develop further her relations with Iran, which are important to her interests in terms of energy and diplomatic influence, while firmly maintaining the principle of Chinese understanding of the whole issue. Iranian nuclear issue has been volatile, often moving to rounds of major tensions, and occasionally moving to rounds of mitigation and quite partial detente, as we see in the most lean manner. China's attitude is and will continue to be striking a balance. China wants to see a diplomatic solution rather than hurrying to sanctions. And this also was quoted by The Guardian, English newspaper. It's willing to give selective cooperation to Europe and the United States, but it is conservative. China might eventually back quite limited sanctions, but would be reluctant to do so and might oppose them outright. Only partial détente between Iran on one hand and the United States and the EU on the other hand could partially emancipate China from this sort of difficult diplomatic dilemma. Iran is an important country for China, energy links as well as diplomatic interests. This has made, according to New York Times report in October 2009, Obama administration official regarding China has been even more reluctant than Russia to act against Iran. Finally, it must be said that non-proliferation has profoundly touched upon two most important dimensions of China's foreign policy: that with superpower United States, that with China's Asian neighbors, especially those in East Asia. Now, Xi Jinping focuses on those two fronts, treating them as the emphasis of his foreign policy agenda. The China-US new type of great power relationship, conducted by him in Xi-Obama summit in June, and China's powerful diplomacy, greatly emphasized by him and whole standing committee of the Politburo at the powerful diplomacy conference held just in this month. We could find new tensions for non-proliferation between these two most important dimensions: China-US relations versus China-DPRK relations, as well as, in a less degree, China-Iran relations. Only mild attitude on the part of DPRK, as well as Iran, together with so-called partial détente between them, respectively, with the United States, can partially emancipate China from that tension or deliver. China is striving for that. This is what China wants in this stage, in a very realistic but very positive, perspective, and in whole of this cause. Thank you very much. Thank you.